Joining me today on the 105.3 The Fan YouTube channel. He is the managing editor of Blogging the Boys, a friend of 105.3 The Fan. You can hear him. You've been on quite a few shows, haven't you, RJ?
I think so. I'm really grateful to you guys having me on when you do. You guys do such a great job of showcasing a lot of different voices among your own. And so I'm really happy to call all of y'all friends. And you guys do a lot of great work that helps us at our site. And so I'm appreciative of our friendship back and forth.
RJ Ochoa, the managing editor of Blogging the Boys for SB Nation, joining us here on the 105 Through the Fan YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button for the YouTube channel for 105 Through the Fan, and you can subscribe to my channel at Kevin Gray Sports. It's time to get Gucci for DiNucci, I guess, RJ, as the seventh round draft pick out of James Madison. Ben DiNucci is going to get the start under the bright lights on Sunday Night Football. What are your general expectations for this young man as he steps into a very difficult situation, obviously stepping in for Dallas as far as their quarterback position is concerned?
I don't mean to sound rosy or optimistic or naive, but I think there's a liberation of sorts here, because I think that I think maybe you and I, we've talked about this. I know you guys have talked about it all over the fan. The Andy Dalton led Cowboys, they're not one of the Super Bowl even when Andy Dalton returns. But I think there was this still expectation of, well, Andy's the highest profile backup quarterback the Cowboys have brought in a long time. And so I think that sort of pseudo expectation did still exist. But Ben is this like, okay, Ben is this like, what's in the pantry? What can we make for dinner type thing? And like you ever have a dinner that's like, you just have like a handful of Cheez-Its and then like a couple of animal crackers and then like you just put together, like that's what this feels like. And I think that's fun. Like I'm more excited personally about this game than I have been in any game since Dak Prescott went down, obviously. And I think that's why. And so, for Ben, I think the expectation is just survive. And I don't mean that like as dramatic as it sounds, but have fun. Like I don't know of a game that has felt this fun because like responsibility has kind of been thrown to the wind in that respect, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of the unknown for a guy who's like, hey, I'll just take the keys and we'll just see how it goes. I might crash the car the first time, but I might, take us to somewhere good. But for you, where are you in terms of your mindset with this season? A team that's 2-5, yes, technically still in it as far as the NFC East is concerned, but at the same time, it appears there's some reevaluations of this talent on this team going forward. Where are you specifically with the Cowboys in that respect?
So you'll have to forgive me, my dog. He's pissed because the Cowboys are really bad this year. His name is Bear, and so he was really proud of the Chicago Bears, right, buddy? And how they started off the season, but the Monday Night Football loss a couple of days ago really bummed him out. And so I think my expectation for the Cowboys, so I think we live in these extremes where you're either team tank or your team like it's still possible. And I do think there's maybe not a middle ground, but something much closer to team tank. Like obviously I would much prefer a top 3 pick versus winning the NFC East this year, because again, like I don't view losing to the New Orleans Saints or the Chicago Bears in the wild card round as this sort of prize. But I do realize obviously that it's not sustainable for the Cowboys to just say, let's tank, like let's blow this thing up. I do maintain a level of belief in Mike McCarthy, and I think that idea is coming around. McCarthy has done 3 things this year that have my total approval. The first was when he chose to go for 2 against the Falcons. I know that was the subject of a lot of debate. The second was calling out the players for not defending Andy Dalton when they obviously didn't last week. And the third is playing Ben DiNucci, honestly, because I don't know if you agree, but if this was Jason Garrett's team, I think it would be Garrett Gilbert starting, because I think there would be this defection towards, well, he's a veteran, he's done it before. Ben DiNucci's a 7th round pick. Like, who cares? Like at this point, you're just experimenting, right? Like you're just figuring out what's what. And so in that mindset, I applaud the releasing of Daryl Worley and Don Tari Poe. I hate to celebrate somebody losing their jobs, But so I am willing to acknowledge that this season, for a number of reasons, both from a cultural and climate and worldly perspective, isn't one that was ever really full of promise. I think we all should learn from this, that maybe we gassed this team up too much. Maybe that's just a symptom of covering this team. But so I'm hopeful, but I also want a lot of fun. I want us to be doing like our Christmas shopping and there to be like a fun Cowboy story in the air. So I want a lot of things, but I think they're all possible ultimately.
Do you think, based on what has happened over the last couple of weeks with players anonymously talking and the issues of the defense, do you think there's a leadership problem, or is it more of these players struggling with the schematics of what Mike Nolan is trying to do, given the amount of change that he is trying to put forth on this defense? Or overall, is there something disconnecting for these players and this coaching staff?
You know, I know it's difficult for us to sit here from our points of comfort and say, hey, you should be doing this and, you know, whatever. And I think if I have to pick one of those camps, I certainly think that there are some leadership issues. I think the fact that Jerry has been as adamant that there haven't been while appearing on The Fan is perhaps the largest indication of that. And I don't know where that stems from. I mean, maybe it is the country club culture. Maybe it is the fact that these players are so well taken care of. Maybe it's just a coincidence. Maybe all of these people and players are just of that mindset. I do certainly believe that the coaching staff is trying to do some things that are maybe falling on deaf ears, but I also think that the coaching staff might be flawed and is trying to force particular issues, which we were told wouldn't be the case, right? Like it was no longer going to be scheme insistent. It was going to be fluctuating around the talent that the Cowboys have. But something I've been thinking about a lot lately is when Jalen had his press conference announcing his contract extension with the team last year, he said specifically, he said, you know, someday I'm going to be a captain for the Dallas Cowboys. And I can't ever recall somebody saying that in a public setting. Like maybe you want that, maybe it's a personal goal. I can certainly understand that, but I think like if I have to like put like a video clip and define the problem, it's that, because it seems like it's more of the pomp and circumstance of the C on your chest. Like, do you remember in the third Mighty Ducks movie when the new varsity coach or whatever took Charlie's C away and he got super pissed off? Like,
I was hot. I was right along with him. I was hot.
Yeah. Oh, dude. And then at the very end when he slaps it on him like for the big game, whatever. Like, yeah, that was sick. But I view it as that. Like it's more about the materialistic element of the C on your chest going out for the coin toss. And that's a really, really minute example of what I think is the larger problem, is that, you know, they like to put on the show of who they are, but they don't maybe necessarily like to always do all of the work that goes into that.
How do you see Sunday night's game between the Cowboys and the Eagles playing out, given the circumstances that the Cowboys are dealing with? And you think about, conversely, with the Eagles, they still have a lot to play for, even though they're where they are at this particular point in the season.
I picked the Cowboys in all but one game. I took Seattle over them, and I've made it a personal goal of mine to not pick them again until anything dramatic changes. And I think, and this kind of goes to the culture issue, and I hate to say this, but the Eagles are much better at that, at handling adversity. I mean, obviously the 2017 season when they won the Super Bowl, but even last year, right? Like that game in Philadelphia was this battle of these like loser teams. Somebody's got to win this crappy NFC East, and the Eagles just they're willing to do that dirty work, and the Cowboys aren't. And something else, I do buy a little that some of it is maybe psychological, in the sense that like on Thursday Night Football this week, I would totally bet that there were members of the Falcons that were like, okay, like what's going to happen now? You know, like it becomes like self-serving. Like at a certain point, you just believe that like something is going to manifest itself because it's been happening to you so many times before. And so, I mean, I truly believe that if Philly gets up to like a 7-0, 10-0, you know, lead, it's over, because I think the Cowboys quit in those circumstances. And I don't, maybe if Sean Lee plays, that's enough to kind of snap him out of that funk. But I think they get embarrassed. I think that maybe Ben DiNucci offers fun. Maybe he does a weird, you know, rushing touchdown or something that we celebrate. But I think it's a rout, and I think it's another long week. right before the Pittsburgh Steelers come to town, and then everybody will talk about how Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl against them in the building, and that'll be the only thing we have going.
All the narratives that we can spin, the tales that we can weave when it comes to the Cowboys in this season. You can follow RJ on Twitter at RJ Ochoa. He is the managing editor of Blogging the Boys and friend of 105 through the Fan. RJ, thank you so much for the time, and hopefully the next time we do this, the Cowboys, may have won a game or something. Who knows? Yeah,
the bar is pretty low, and I'll settle for if they score a touchdown, if they get an interception. I mean, like, we have to reconsider what celebration means, because it calls for like a massive socially distanced party, of course. But appreciate you having me on. Appreciate all the work you guys do. We're big fans of y'all over at Blog of the Boys.
Appreciate it.